Today we're going to continue our discussion about equations and solving them. We have already done one-step equations, two-step equations, and used combining like terms. So now we're going to expand our discussion to include equations with parentheses, or basically we're going to be distributing in our equations. We are restricting the equations we're talking about right now to those that only have work on one side. We will progress to the next level in the next video. So let's look at number one, nice basic equation. As we did with the ones before, if we need to make sure that we can see and remember the left side and the right side, because remember we're going to keep an equation balanced, what we do to one side we must do to the other. So that's the reason I put the little fence up. We are going to start by distributing, because we're trying to remember our goal is to find out what A is equal to. Well, the only way we can access the A is by releasing it from the parentheses, and you do that by distributing. So I'm going to say 4 times each term. So 4 times A is 4A, and then 4 times 3 is 12. It's a positive 12, so I put a plus. I'm going to bring down my equals. So just because we have the line there doesn't mean you don't write the equals. So we do need that. We didn't do anything to the other side, so let's bring down our 27. Now it's time to start pushing things over to the other side so we can isolate the A. So remember, our first rule of thumb is to move items or move terms that are attached with a plus or a minus sign. So it's kind of like you're doing order of operations in reverse. So since this is adding 12, we're going to come in and we're going to subtract 12 on both sides. Now you want to keep your work structured and neat, orderly, so that you can follow your train of thought. There is no reward for going fast or skipping steps. You want to make sure you're doing it properly. So as I go to the next step, I want to show that positive 12 and negative 12, they cancel out. That goes to 0. So the only thing remaining on the left side is 4A. I'm going to bring down my equals. And then 27 minus 12 is, let's see here, 7 minus 2 is 5, and 2 minus 1 is 15. So, or 2 minus 1 is 1, making it 15. Okay, one last step. I have my A is multiplied times 4. So I need to come in here and divide both sides by 4. So I purposely want to show that division bar because I need it to click in my mind that I'm dividing. I don't want to think that I'm adding. I need to know when I look at it, oh, that's division. I cannot divide 4 into 15 without getting decimals. So I'm going to leave it as the fraction 15 over 4. So that is my answer. It doesn't go smaller than that. Okay. So now let's look at some larger ones. Okay, this is going to incorporate that last thing we discussed, which was combining like terms. So we're going to start like we did with the other one. We're going to put the little fence up so we can see the left and the right. Okay, as with our previous problem, our A's are in parentheses. So for you to break them out, you've got to distribute. So we're going to take the negative 3, so make sure you grab the negative, and you want to distribute it. Negative 3 times A makes negative 3A. Negative 3 times negative 2, negative times negative makes a positive. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, once you get to the closing parentheses, you're done with that one. So then we come over here and it says plus 5 and it's up against the parentheses. That means I am distributing positive 5. So 5 times A is 5A. It's positive, so I link it with a plus sign. 5 times 2 is 10. Again, it's positive, so you link it with a plus sign. Bring down your equals, bring down your 12. Okay, now the next step is going to be to collect our like terms. We always want to get like terms together on the same side. So that means we're going to find our variables and we're going to combine those terms. So I have a negative 3A and I have a positive 5A. So signs are different, so I'm going to subtract the numbers. 5 minus 3 is 2. And I'm scooting it over here because I'm only going to have two terms. I'm going to have a term with A's, and I'm going to have a term that's just numbers. So that's the reason I scooted over. So it's going to be 2A. I don't change my letter. I have to keep it. Now I want to do my constants. I got a positive 6 and a positive 10. So they're both positive, so I'm going to add them and get 16. And I still haven't done anything with the right side, so I still bring down equals 12. Once I get it to this point, this is when I start moving things to the other side and we start balancing the equation. Okay, so I'm looking at this. It's attached with a plus sign, which means I come in here and I do the opposite sign on both sides. And you want to show that so that you can see it. You want to see that these cancel, and that leaves you 2A. On the other side, I'm going to do 12 minus 16. Well, that's opposite signs, so I subtract. Big number minus small number is going to be 4, and the sign of the larger is negative. So I have a negative 4. One last step, I need to divide by the coefficient of A. Well, the 2's reduce and leave me A. Remember, they reduce to 1, so that's really 1A. And then I'm going to divide over here. That's the reason you've got to put the bar so that you remember I'm dividing. I'm not subtracting, I'm dividing. So negative 4 divided by 2 is a negative 2. And that is our answer. We stop there. Okay, let's try that one more time. And so just in case you need the steps, our first step is going to be to distribute. Okay, our second step will be to collect like terms. Our third step will be to move, so add or subtract our constants. So we're going to actually move those constants over for right now. We'll change this up just a little bit on the next one. And then the last one is to get rid of the multiplying or dividing. Okay, that's always the last thing. So let's take that and use it on this one right here. Because once again, we have variables. They're in the parentheses. Now I'm going to drop this down here. And I'm going to do 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times a negative m is a negative 3m. Okay? Once I come to the closing parentheses, I'm done with that set. I come to the next one. That 2 is up against the parenthesis, which means I must distribute it. But remember, grab its sign with it. That negative belongs to the 2. So negative 2 times 2m is a negative 4m. Negative 2 times a negative 1 is a positive 2. Okay, bring down your equals 14. Then according to our list we just distributed, we need to collect like terms. So we want to clean this up. We want to get all of our letters together. And remember, we're going to make one that's variables, one that's constants. So I'm going to do my negative 3m and my negative 4m need to combine. The signs are the same, so I add them and I keep the sign that they share, which is negative. All right, then I want to come back and get my constants. I have a positive 15 and I have a positive 2. So they're both positive, signs are the same, so I add them and I keep the sign that they share. And I'll bring down equals 14. At that point, I want to move my constant over. So it's added. I need to subtract it in order to move it over. So that will be negative 7m equals 14 minus 17. So that means my signs are different. I subtract 17 minus 14 is 3. And the sign of the big one is negative. All right, my last step is to divide through by the coefficient. Well, that's negative 7, and I do want to do the exact same sign because I want positive m. So I need my 7's to reduce. I also need my negatives to reduce. So both have to reduce to give me a positive m. On the right side, 3 over 7 does not reduce at all. It's what I'd call a nasty fraction. But the negatives do reduce. So the two negatives do reduce and give me a positive 3/7. Okay, so it's just 3/7 is my answer. And I'll leave it like that. So hopefully that helps with equations with parentheses. Let me know if you happen to have any problems or questions.